Greetings, my dear viewers. Welcome back to another topic of interest. Once again, this is Saki Eliama, a third-year BSed English student. Today, we are going to tackle about the three remaining philosophical thoughts on education, advocating the three contributors and their view on education. Since my groupmate Alvin Escomo already tackled the three, who were John Locke, the empiricist educator, Herbert Spencer, who introduced the utilitarian education, and John Dewey, learning through experience. Allow me to introduce to you the three remarkable educators or philosophers. They are George Counts, who proposed in building a new social order, Theodore Brameld, of social reconstructionism, and Paulo Freire on critical pedagogy. Now, at the end of the discussion, we will be able to discuss the three philosophical thoughts on education, differentiate the three philosophical thoughts of George Counts, Theodore Brameld, and Paulo Freire, and persuade the contributions of the philosophical thoughts proposed by the philosophers in the teaching and learning. So basically, a philosophy of education is a statement or set of statements that identifies and clarifies the beliefs, values, and understandings of an individual or group with respect to education. First, we have the American educator and influential education theorist who is George Counts. He challenged teachers and teacher educators to use school as a means for critiquing and transforming the social order. Best known for his controversial pamphlet, Dare the School Build a New Social Order in 1932. Education is not based on eternal truths, but is relative to a particular society living at a given time and place. Although George Counts' 1932 challenge to American teachers provides a good framework for reevaluating the roles of schools and teachers in society, his assumption that the school alone can bring about a social order is not likely. Teachers can expose their students to a variety of beliefs and social systems and raise issues ignored by the curriculum. They can also take stands as citizens to change society, but in the long run, all groups in society must involve in a long-term struggle to build a social and economic democracy. Some of the salient points of George Counts' theory is that there is a cultural lag between material progress and social institutions and ethical values. Instruction should incorporate the content of socially useful nature and a problem-solving methodology. Students are encouraged to work on problems that have social significance. Schools became instrument for social improvement rather than an agency for preserving the status quo. Teachers should lead society rather than follow it. Teachers are agents for change. They are called on to make important choices in the controversial areas of economics, politics, and morality, because if they fail to do so, others would make decisions for them. School ought to provide an education that afford equal learning opportunities to all students. This is from Orstein, A. 1984. Another is that schools and teachers as agents of change. For George Counts, schools and teachers should be agents of change. Schools are considered instruments for social improvement rather than as agencies for preserving the status quo. Whatever change we work for should always be changed for the better, not just for the sake of change. Teachers are called to make decisions on controversial issues. Not to make decision is to actually making a decision. Like Dewey, problem solving should be the dominant method for instruction. Lag between material progress and ethical values. Counts asserts that there is a cultural lag between material progress and social institutions and ethical values. Material progress of humankind is very evident, but moral and ethical development seem to have lagged behind. A friend once wrote, Egyptians had their horses. Modern man has jets. But today, it is still the same moral problems that plague humankind. Indeed, with science and technology, we have become very powerful, yet powerless. We have conquered a number of diseases and even postponed death for many. We have conquered aging, the planets, the seas, but we have not conquered ourselves. Next, we have the famous social reconstructionism of Theodore Brameld. To know him, he was a leading educational philosopher of the 20th century. As an American educator and educational philosopher, Brameld was best known as the founder of social reconstructionism and advocated that schools be a driving force for social change and political change. Social reconstructionism, as the name implies, social reconstructionism is a philosophy that emphasizes the reformation of society and the addressing of social questions and a quest to create a better society and worldwide democracy. The social reconstruction contend that humankind has moved from an agricultural and rural society to an urban and technological society. There is a serious lag in cultural in adaptation of the realities of a technological society. Humankind has yet to reconstruct its values in order to catch up with the changes in the technological order, and organized education has a major role to play in reducing gap between values of culture and technology. Lastly, we have the critical pedagogy of Paulo Freire, a Brazilian educator and philosopher, one of the most influential philosophers of education of the 20th century. His insights were rooted in the social and political realities of the children and grandchildren of former slaves. Paulo Freire, a critical theorist like social reconstructionists, believed that systems must change to overcome oppression and improve human conditions. Critical pedagogy is about teaching students to think critically and question the information they are given. For example, if students read a dominant history narrative in a textbook, instead of just accepting the information, they should be encouraged to conduct their own research and read alternative narratives. Education and literacy are the vehicle of social change. In his view, humans must learn to resist oppression and not become its victims nor oppress others. To do so requires dialogue and critical consciousness, the development of awareness to overcome domination and oppression. Rather than teaching as banking, in which the educator deposits information into students' heads, Friere saw teaching and learning as a process of inquiry in which the child must invent and reinvent the world. Teachers must not see themselves as the sole possessors of knowledge, and their students as empty receptacles. He calls this pedagogical approach the banking method of education. A democratic relationship between the teacher and her students is necessary in order for the conscientization process to take place. Freire's critical pedagogy is problem-posing education. A central element of Freire's pedagogy is dialogue. It is the love and respect that allow us to engage people in dialogue and to discover ourselves in the process and learn from one another. By its nature, dialogue is not something that can be imposed. Instead, genuine dialogue is characterized by respect of the parties involved toward one another. We develop a tolerant sensibility during the dialogue process, and it is the only when we come to tolerate the points of view and ways of being of others that we might be able to learn from them and about ourselves in the process. Dialogue means the presence of equality, mutual recognition, affirmation of people, a sense of solidarity with people, and remaining open to questions. Dialogue is a basis for critical and problem-posing pedagogy as opposed to banking education, where there is no discussion, only the imposition of the teacher's ideas on the students. All of these education philosophers point to the need of interacting with others and of creating a community of inquiry. As Charles Sanders Peirce put it, The community of inquiry is a group of persons involved in inquiry, investigating more or less the same question or problem, and developing through their exchanges a better understanding both of the question as well as the probable solutions. A community inquiry will engage learners in active problem solving. That ends with my discussion on the three philosophers and educators. To recap, there were George Kant's Building a New Social Order, Theodore Brameld, Social Reconstructionism, and Paulo Freire, Critical Pedagogy. Now, to assess if you have learned something about the discussion, kindly answer these questions. Are the three philosophical thoughts, building a new social order, social reconstructionism, and critical pedagogy, effective in education? Give your insights and every thoughts relating to our education today. Just keep it with yourself, my dear viewers, or just comment down below your insights. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a great day ahead.